Hello and welcome to an ARCHLine.XP webinar. My name is Zoltán Tóth. Over here is my resident architect, Mr. Foliage Painter, and do we have a topic for you? We are going to talk about ARCHLine.XP Live and how it could be used for architectural projects. Lots to do. So
we have a surprise by the end, so keep being with us.
Let's take a look. As always, I urge you to ask your questions during the show. You can do that on the right-hand side in the chat bar next to my face. And that's where you can ask the questions that we are going to talk about at the end. So Ilyes, in a couple of words, tell us what we are going to talk about today, especially because this is not the first time we talk about live.
Yeah.
So how is this going to be any different?
Well, first things first, we will cover all those things that are necessary to be able to not just being able to process your design in live, but prepare your model for visual design. This is what we will cover first. Then we will talk a little bit about the surrounding as well, how to represent a simple surrounding. We will cover that in ARCHLine, and then we will use that in live. Also, we will talk about how you can get new things from the warehouse and how to enrich your model before we pass it to live. And then we will focus on the speed and quality of what you can do and how you can do that in live, how you can customize it, how you can enrich it with all the details that you can see now in front of you on the interface. And then finally, we will also talk about a new feature when you would like to create the surrounding with a new tool that is just introduced today. It is just a fresh new free feature. I think it's very exciting, so I'm really excited to show that. That will be the end, and finally we will cover the whole topic about how to update your visuals, how to publish your visuals, and how to create a real-time walkthrough, and how to actually generate a video file that you can send to your client. So this is today's topic. And I think first time, just as you see, this is the project that we will work with. This is an interior design and exterior design. I'm an architectural project. The interior is also full-featured, rich in content, and the exterior is filled with foliage. There's a park here. We will cover that as well, and also the surrounding, as you can see, is bright and living. So this is where we will get to, but first let me show you how to do that in ARCHLine. So we will first talk about the project and how to prepare a project in ARCHLine to be able to process it when you design the visuals, how to prepare your design.
What are the most important things that you have to set up?
When you prepare your designs for visuals, the first thing is, I believe, besides the geometry, obviously, that you will fill up. I mean, you will obviously create the building. You will bring in the basic furniture, all the other objects like the chandeliers, lamps, and other things. Is the render styles. And when I talk about render styles, I'm not talking about the quality of rendering, I'm talking about the material settings, how the materials look like. So when you design a building, or when you design an interior, you obviously are surrounded with surfaces that are either glass, metal, wall surfaces, or something like that. And if you just would like to determine what a surface looks like and how the surface should behave, there is a very good feature. It's called the render style. Here you can find it in the catalog. When you go to the design center, the home page of the design center, you will find the render style. The render styles are dedicated to a certain job, a certain task. There is a ceiling representation, there is a chrome representation, a glass representation. They are dedicated to specific representations of surfaces. So when you would like to make this surface appear with this very material, with this very surface feature that you have appearing as a wall surface, you just find that, and then you click and drag, and see there is a totally different wall pattern appearing here. but I'm not changing the wall pattern. I'm just changing how the material that I see in front of me behave. So from this point on, it should behave as a wall surface. As you can see now, there's this little message coming up with it's telling me it's a wall cladding stone texture seamless, and the second row is appearance and it's wall. So from this point on, it appears as a wall. It has less reflection than a glass surface and so on. So the same thing happens with all the rest of the surfaces. So if you have a metal surface, you should tell the software and make sure that it's a metal surface. So you just find metal. It's somewhere here. Yes. So you just click and drag it over this surface, and you just click there. And now the software understands that this material and wherever else it was used in this project is treated as a metal surface. So this way you can quickly go through and find all the settings. Sorry, I just closed the views on my computer. So let me just go back to this view list, and sorry, this is here. And I just would like to select one of my previously used views. So these are the settings here. So what you can see here is already treated like that. And if you would like to make sure that on a larger project you didn't forget set up anything, you should just use the color-coded view. This color-coded view tells you that, well, I obviously forgot about a few things. That, for example, this is treated as a wall surface, because I can tell that here there is a wall surface and there is a color-coded right bottom corner there next to wall, as you can see. It's the same color like this one. So you can easily go through.
It's the same style, right?
Yeah, that means this all is the same style. So if I would like to distinguish and tell this is, for example, something like a matte surface or something like that, I just click and click there, and now it is changed everywhere else. So this is a very simple and very easy view to make you understand how it behaves and how it will be rendered without rendering it. And at any time you would like to just switch back, you just use the restore option. There is one specific material type that I'm willing to discuss before we go on and talk the rest, and it's the water surface here. And the water surface, it is in ARCHLine, when we just visualize it, it's just a surface, looks like a water, like a snapshot of a water. If I just click and drag here and I tell that this is a water, from this point on, the software understands that when you render it, it should have some sort of wavy surface feature, and definitely. It should be a little bit different than a classic gloss surface or something like that. So this way, you just go through and you just dedicate all the material styles, the rendering styles, to each and every specific material types that you would like to set up. Like, for example, this is a parquet, then you just go there and find that this is a parquet and just click in there and then just use that. Now, should you forget this, later you can change it at any time, and you will have the option to do this in live as well. But best is that you do prior digesting and working with this in live. So this is the second thing about materials.
And I think having discussed the materials, the next thing what we should be focusing on, and that's something that you already showed, is the perspectives, the views. Yeah. Can you just pop up the views and explain a little bit further what we are seeing here and how this would carry on to live?
Yeah, well, actually, I already created a few views, a few 3D views in the 3D. And those are all listed here, like view bedroom, living, and also I have an external view. Now, for example, this is a view, this is a specific view that I'm willing to use. So instead of using this one single external view, which I created before, I can just, find another view, or find another perspective like this one, and I can just save this. Sorry, I just lost myself a little bit. So I just set up the view that I'm willing to use, and then I go to this little perspective definition, and I just say that, okay, let's create a new one, and this will be, well, let's just name it view external, because this is also an external view, but this will be a pool, for example. So now it's right next to that one, so I have one view here, another view here, and later perhaps I would like to add a few more, but now I'm happy with those. So when I set up the views, these are all the views that I'm using when I create the renders, when I create the visuals, when I just take snapshots of this view and I communicate with my client. So the second point is the views.
And what about lights, artificial and natural ones?
We have both here. About artificial lights, I think I should go to the porch view, which is here. And now we obviously have lights and lamps inside as well, but now as this is also part of the design, we also placed a few lamps here. So the most important thing is that when you would like to use artificial lights, place them as lamps, add the light sources, and set them as you think they will work, and later you can customize them. But you just add all the lamps, even if they are sometimes switched off, you will be able to manage that. But you just add all those lamps, all the street lights, and everything else into your project. Now this is the artificial lights. Lamps actually.
What about the sun?
And about the sun, you can set that up. Now it is actually based on two things. One is the north direction. When you set up the geolocation of your building, which you can do either here, you just click here and set up the north direction, and you can just set up the orientation, or you can go there and you can find the sun position, and in that case you can be a little bit more specific. You can set up even the location, the month, and the local time, and so on. Or you can just go to the beam properties and use the Google Maps to set up the location, the geolocation on Google Earth. So that's one of the things, but also you can just quickly go through and find this shadow simulation. It's in view, shadow simulation. So you can actually just play and find how it looks best. So let's say I'm happy with this, but let's see how it looks like during daytime, and not in December, but perhaps somewhere during the summertime. And I just set up something like that. So if I like that, I just keep it, and then now the shadow disappeared, but it will appear in renderings, and it will appear the same way in live as well. So that's the second thing about lights. One was the artificial light, and the second is the sunlight.
There are actually a few other things, but maybe the elements that you can place. For instance, if you want to bring in something from an external library, 3D warehouse, for instance.
Yeah, well, actually, we have downloaded a few things, but I wanted to show you how to get those. I won't download an item now, but I will show you how I got these. So I just set up a view where I can see them well, or I just simply use the one that I previously set up, and that was the view external pool. And then when I would like to place something here, I just go to interior and 3D warehouse. You can even use the BIM libraries, but now I want to cover the popular option, the 3D warehouse. So you just go there and find something like a couch or anything like that. There was something that we found yesterday. What was the name
we
of
can
that?
type lawn chair, or we can type a barbecue. It could be anything.
Barbecue. Okay, barbecue. So
I think it was a drum barbecue.
okay, barbecue. I think it was.
Yes.
It was like that, and drum, right?
Yeah.
I like this one, drum barbecue. I think this is nice. I won't download it now, but it's like you just go here, you find it's nice, and you can just click on download, and you just place it. This is how to get these
An
objects.
important question here. Can you apply the render styles onto objects that you download from an external source?
You can, and you should, because
Okay.
because actually these objects they won't contain specific material settings. They will contain their color, their transparency, but they won't look pretty if you do not set up the render style. So even for those things, you should set up that is, for example, wood, chrome, or something like that, and then it will look okay.
So it will blend in
Other
nicely.
than that, they will appear obviously, but they won't show their best. So you should at least treat the larger objects like that.
Another question about objects. If I look at the distance, I see other building volumes, like these conceptual models of the neighboring buildings. How did you make them?
Yeah, well, these things here, these are actually building volumes. This is how we call them. I think I will just quickly sketch a building volume here, so you will easily see how that works. Now, a building volume is something that you will find in building and in terrain. It's part of the terrain tool set, and it's called the building volume, and it's based on a very simple principle. Most of the time you can use these over maps or site plans or something like that. You just see the contours of an existing building, and then you just manage to follow that contour. And then let's see, I think I should draft an L-shaped building.
Yes.
And then you just set up the maximum height of this building. This should be, I don't know, like 12,000 millimeters. And the B is the frontal side, the frontal face of this building, and that should be at least like, let's say, 8,000 millimeters. And this is the inclination of the roof, and that will be, I don't know, like 60 degrees. Take care. This 60 degrees is measured from the vertical, not from the horizontal. Yes. So actually, in classic terms, when we talk about roofs, it will be a 30-degree roof. So I just click on for all sides update. So now I have a shape like that. I think it's better. Yes. So like that, and when I say OK, it appeared, and it's actually over there, as you can see. So it appeared here behind. So this is how you can easily and quickly sketch large or smaller building shapes without having to literally draw walls and adding windows and roofs and things like that.
What did you use for the pavement and for the little park and all this kind of environmental features? What did you use to model them?
Well, these are there are many things you can use here. For example, this slanted area, you can use the ramp tool, or you can also use the slab tool. Both can be slanted. Here for the pavement and the classic asphalt road and this garden, I actually used slabs. But you can also use terrains for the green areas. So this really depends on what you think is best. Many times when I just need to use a single flat surface like a pavement or a walkway or a road or something like that, I just simply use the slab because it's very easy to handle and I use it a lot. So it's very simple to set up.
Last thing to set up before we export this to live is the animation path. Because we are able to create animations, but this is the time and place when we create the path. So how do you go about that? What kind of paths would you save?
Yeah, we actually do have a few paths here. So I will first show how they look like, and then I just quickly create one so you will understand how they are created. So now these are animation paths. So if you just click on that and you just say that, okay, create an animation, when you already have one, you can just find that and you can just play it. And in ARCHLine, this is a built-in feature that in this quality that you see now, you can actually save a video file and then you can just publish it and use it anywhere you want. Now this is a great thing to demonstrate how your project looks like, and this is also something that you will be able to further enhance in live. So that's why we talk about it. And before we do that, let me just quickly show you how that is created.
Maybe one which pans over the street.
Okay, so let's do something like that. I just use and this is in view, I just use the animation and its path, and you first need to create a path. You need to define the path where the camera goes through. Just imagine yourself like someone like a cameraman from Hollywood, and you just set the path where the camera scrolls, and then when you are done with that path, you just hit enter, and then you say that, okay, from this camera point of view, I'm looking at that point, and from this one, I'm looking at that point, and from this one, I'm looking at that point. So now I'm done. I just hit enter, and you can set up the height of the observer and the target. Now that's fine. I will just refine that later. I just say okay, and then now the software automatically creates a preview which I can play. It's a bit hasty, I believe.
It's a bit too fast.
Yeah. So I just go to the settings and I say that this should be say around 9 seconds. I used to use multiples of 3, so I just use 9, and let's just go okay. And yeah, this is a bit better. Perhaps a little bit too slow, but we will.
Yes, we can fix that. The point is that you can define the path here. What comes after this? What do we do?
So now we have done with everything: materials, lights, artificial lights, and sunlight, all the geometry surrounding, and we also enriched the model with the animation path. So now when we would like to visualize this in real time in live, we need to use the rendering and ARCHLine.XP live bridge. This is actually opening up your model, your current model, how it is now. This will be converted into live, and now live, it's a separately installed product. Now ARCHLine.XP live receives that data, and it opens up automatically, and it reads this model. It automatically tells me that it's actually loading this model. So it converts all those things into something that live can handle in real time. And you will see that whenever that's done, all the objects, all the lights, all the materials, even the sunlight and all the surrounding and the views are represented directly within the software, so we will be able to demonstrate how that looks like and how to work with that.
Mind you that this loading is something that you only have to wait for it once. It just has to process the model, the same thing that you would have to wait for if you would use the integrated rendering engine. What is happening now?
What you just saw, it was just jumping from view to view to view, and I don't know if you saw that, but previously these views were all black. Actually, what the software did, it just went through all the views that you previously defined in ARCHLine.XP, the design software, and it just went through and just took snapshots of all of these. So it created all those views, but not just the views. I can navigate from view to view. I can just find the Porsche view, the pool view, and all the views. But these are not just for navigation. These are actually already existing images on my computer. These are ready-made PNG files that I can just open up in a specific image viewer. I can just tap my name on it and I can send it to my clients already without even adding my extra details, which I will do now, and then I will refresh the content that appears here now. I just already have all these images appearing.
I'm noticing that the software is running in a smaller screen, right? So
yeah.
How do you put it back to full screen?
Yeah, well, the software is able to run in full screen, and it's able to run in windowed mode. This is where you can just toggle between dedicated full screen and the regular windowed mode. In this case, I think this is the best if you would like to easily switch between ARCHLine and Live or any other application, because you just do your research online or something like that. But most of the time, I actually just use it in full screen because I'm focusing on the design itself.
So what's happening after this?
Well, after this, what we can see here, this is the front view. This is something that we have created in ARCHLine, and now let's just find whether we like the result and how to customize it. Now, this, for example, here, we remember this was set up as a wall surface. This also was a wall surface. When you select that, you can find this edit materials. These are the editors here. The first is the material editor. If you click here, you can find that this is the cladding, stone, texture, seamless, which was set to be wall. And if you would like to change it, tweak it, make it a bit darker or brighter tone, change its reflection, roughness, and bump up, you can do all of these here, and it happens in an instant. You don't have to wait for the result like in classic rendering. Now, the same thing applies for the metal surface. For example, I forgot to set up this here. I remember I did, but perhaps I just simply forgot that. Then this is a great feature here. You don't have to be perfect. You can just simply go there and just find that, well, okay, this should be metal, and now it's treated as metal. Or you can just change it to chrome. You can change it to any specific material type that you want, and you still have the option to change its reflectivity, change its roughness, change its brightness, and do whatever you wish to do with that specific material. The same applies for pavement. And well, I actually highlighted one material, which is in the background, and now that was the pool view.
Yes, the water surface.
Yeah, I talked about this water surface, and that there's one specific idea behind this water surface. It's actually animated, as you can see. It's
yes,
moving.
yes, it's moving.
The wind is blowing this surface. So this is one extra already, besides the rest, the true time reflections and things like that. That you can use surfaces which are animated, and those are the built-in features of this conversion that you get just as an instant. So talking about the materials, you can actually use those materials. You can modify those materials, and actually, you have the option to change those materials to something that ARCHLine.XP Live is strong in. It has its own built-in library, and it's on the right-hand side, and it's called Navigator. And the first page is for the library. This is actually where you can toggle the visibility of this panel if you accidentally close it. So let's just open it up and find the materials. We have a material library here appearing with wood, textile, environment. Talking about the water, we have a dedicated library for water materials. So I just find, and let's see how it looks like with the deep water. Well, it's not bad, but perhaps it's better with this one, or with this one, or with this one. So you can just play around and find the best. I think I like this. Right? I think I will stay with this one. And so this is how you can do that. The same applies for the rest of the surfaces. So if you would like to use a different metal surface, well, I like this one ideally, but let's just focus on it. I actually today I will try to use as much as shortcuts as I can do, because Live is actually filled with those, but some of those are not that obvious. For example, there is one specific very useful tool when you highlight something, when you select something, and you hit the F key. You can actually just focus on that. That's what it stands for. It's for focus. So you can just focus on the selection. And as you can see, there's a nice bright reflection and it's real time. But you can actually just go to the metal surfaces. There are a few of them. And you can just play around, find which one you like better. And see, now I just changed only the right-hand side. And it's because by default the software changes, even if it's a complex object, it changes only one particle of that object. So if you would like to enable that, then you just click and drag, and now everywhere where it was used, let me just undo that step and repeat that again. So now it's changed all over, not just here, but everywhere in this project. So it's similar to how the material render styles worked in ARCHLine.XP.
So now you're replacing all instances.
So, but I think I like a chrome surface better, but this is just an idea how you can treat these surfaces. And the same applies not just for external materials, because for example here, let me just go with a different environment material like a ground grass or something like that. Actually at the entrance, I find that there should be something with this surface which should be
something
a concrete.
More interesting. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I think I like this. This concrete surface is okay. Let's just go with this asphalt. This one, well, it's just a variation of this one. I can just try the dark one. See, now it's actually changing everywhere because I enable this all instances mode. So if I just undo this one and I disable this and I apply asphalt only here, then it changes only over there. And I just would like to use a few stone surfaces here. So I just go back and find them in the stone flooring, and I just enable again because I would like to change them all over the design with this one. And I like this, okay, this is fine. But this entrance should be different like from the one on the side. So I just again disable this and I try this one, and let's just go a little bit closer so you will have an idea how nice and detailed these built-in materials are. Some even appear like a 3D surface, and it's because they are so detailed and they are very high quality that they can actually give you that effect like this one. This really looks like a 3D surface, but it's actually just a material. So this here, and it's more than just bump mapping. It's a much more advanced feature that you can see here. But it gives a lot of detail. It generates a lot of detail into the design, and it gives you a very good quality look.
You said that you are going to show us a couple of internal examples.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry. So I just go back to the. Let's go with this one because here I can see actually two out of what I wanted to show.
A huge glass surface, maybe that should be.
Yeah, this here. For example, talking about the glass surfaces, there is again a built-in glass library which is actually featuring acrylic glass, and again here if you just undo this step, and now again a shortcut. If you don't want to always click here, you can just use the Ctrl Z to undo and Ctrl Y to redo. That's the classic undo redo shortcut. So you can just use that and go back and enable all instances, and you, for example, this acrylic glass everywhere. See, now it's used everywhere. Or just use go with the classic glass surface. And well, I think I like this all around, but here I would like to make a difference. So
now you switch off the all instances.
Disable this one. And let's go with the dark glass. Maybe not bad, but this one, a red tint, a striped one. I think if this is an office-like or something like this is okay. So you can just go around and play and find the best setting that you think is work best.
How about the floor?
This floor here is something that you can manage via the flooring materials. There's a built-in library of these here. These are also high quality with the different patterns, and as you can see, they also feature specific reflections and details. So I just use a different surface type here. I think I like this. This is not too shiny, but it's given enough detail, and it's very close to the original one. The original one was actually darker, but I like this better, so I just go with this one. I can also change the wood
texture
material
on the,
here
yes.
as well. So you can just go around and fine tune all the materials the way you think they look best. There are carpet materials, textile materials as well, and also the exterior materials like a few of the stones, cobblestone and things like that. You can use all of these.
Let's talk about lights now. First, to start with the sun. You have set up the sun position and the north direction in ARCHLine.
Okay.
How does that information carry over here?
Before I do that, let me just go outside. I think I use this view, and then I just enable this edit sunlight panel, this edit sunlight tray. These are actually all the switches for the trays. This is the snapshot tray. This is the animation tray. We will talk about that. This is the edit sunlight tray. So if I enable the edit sunlight tray, I can actually find the same date and time setting. And as you can see, it works exactly the same way as it worked in ARCHLine. Just the result is a bit more spectacular. The result is with real-time reflections, all the details, all the materials.
You see it instantly. You don't have to wait for rendered view.
Yeah.
This is the rendered view.
That's right. Yeah. So it really appears in an instant. So you can just go there, and during you do this, you can also go at any time go to materials and find something like, for example, like this basic base white, and I just would like to use that everywhere. So you can just go around and play with all of these settings at any time. So this is about the sunlight, and about sunlight, there is one another thing that I wanted to mention here. That's the north direction. This is set up, and the animation. You can actually animate this.
I see. Yes.
And see how it works, which is, I believe, it's not just spectacular. It's very good for a client presentation, but it's also good for you because you can just quickly go through and find the best sunlight setting, or you can just actually stop it at any time. Let me just wait until
the sun comes up. Yeah, it looks.
So it's like morning soon. So like that. And like, well, okay, let's just stop it, and then I just fine tune it at any time. So this is how you can work with that, and see the surrounding is also changing. I don't know if you noticed, but actually the clouds are moving, so they're also blown by the wind. So it's the whole surrounding is living.
Movement.
Yeah.
Let's keep on talking about lights. How about the artificial light sources? I see one lamp outside here. How do you fine tune that?
Okay, so talking about this lamp light, I think I first should create a night view, because then now it's much more obvious how it looks like. So then I select this lamp, and then I go to the lamp editor, the light editor. Now this tells me that this actually have one light source, and I can just enable, disable. See, it's just happening in an instant. You don't have to wait for it. You can change the instant intensity. You can change its color, make it a little bit warmer tone or something like that. Maybe that's just too warm. Just dial that down a little bit more. So this is how you can fine tune it. And then there is one interesting option, and this is the helper light. The helper light is actually, whenever a light source is coming from ARCHLine, it's automatically treated as helper light. Helper light is like all the lights that are lighting up the scene here where we are. They are meant to brighten up the scene, not necessarily casting shadows. But there are light sources like this. For example, here I would like to see the shadows of these. So in that case, I can turn it into a real light. And then now, as you can see, it's having those nice cast shadows. The reason why not all the lights are automatically treated as real lights, because this costs a little bit more computing power from your GPU, from your graphics card, than using a classic helper light. And classic helper light works very well all around most of the time. But when you would like to highlight a specific lighting feature, then for those few, not all of them, but those few, you should turn them into real lights, and then you can highlight that feature. And actually, at any time when you just dial up the sunlight, of course, you might see that this shadow is disappearing, but it's actually there. It's just too weak, so you cannot see that. Okay, so this is how it works. At any time when you select the light source, you can just go there and edit it directly. And there is one other thing, and this was in the library panel. In the library panel, actually, it also has a light manager, and this light manager is having a global switch for all the artificial lights. It's not treating the sunlight.
So that's how you turn them on and off.
Yeah, you can just go there and completely turn them on or off. And actually, if you just have one here and you just manage that, see, it's also listed here. This is that specific light source actually.
Now let's carry on with some ideas and some practices in terms of how to fill the model with light.
Okay.
So how do we do that? What kind of tools do we have? What kind of objects we have in our library to make it more abundant, making it more full of life?
Well, actually, we talked about I would start with the water surface because it was already living. You can change it, but it was actually already animated. This is an initial step when you have water surfaces. Should you have a building with a bathroom with a bathtub inside, and you just create a thin slab in ARCHLine to be able to treat it as a water surface. In that case, you can just handle it the same way. You just go around and tweak those. There is also something that we call these are effects. And these effects are best demonstrated when I zoom here, and again, I just click there and I use the F key to focus. Now it disappeared because I got behind this wall, but it's actually still selected, so I can rotate around that. So effects are mostly natural light sources, fire, candle fire if we would have a candle inside, and smaller and larger light sources like these here, and these are actually living fire objects that will burn the object that you throw them on. So this will also give that nice effect, especially when we have a view showing this whole thing around. And let's just do this like that, and just go back to something like night view, and you will see this best. And just imagine the same thing with a stove or something like inside the building.
How can you enrich the visual with some more objects?
Well, I think now we should talk about a little bit like cars and street objects. Now there's the objects library, and we didn't cover this yet. This is also collecting built-in library elements, high-quality library elements, just as in case of the materials. And they are also in different libraries, like for example this car here. And this is how you can treat them. You just click and drag and release, and then it will just fall down onto that surface which was found.
How do we transform them?
Yeah, well, obviously this car should turn its face or its back to the street. So you actually need to use these here: the move, the rotate, and the rescale objects here. You can actually just switch between those three.
What are the hotkeys?
Now first let's say what is what. This one is the movement. It's directions. This one is for rotation, and this is rescaling. The hotkeys are number 1, 2, and 3. This is how you can easily switch between those. Number 1 is for movement. So if you would like to move it to this direction, you just keep holding your mouse over that arrow and just click and hold and move it. You can just change its height. And see, there is actually one position when both the directions are highlighted. In that case, you're actually moving on that surface, which is also very useful. So you just keep looking at how this we call it a gizmo, a marker, looks like, and then it tells you how it will work. Now the same applies for rotate. I will use number 2. This is for rotation. This is where you can rotate an object horizontally. You can rotate it this way, or actually this is on a slightly slanted surface. So I just make it like that, and then I just go back to number 1, which is for movement, and I just refine its position. So let me just switch between those and just work a little bit. See, this is how easily you can set an object like that.
I know it's not relevant in this scenario, but what was the third option? Scaling.
The third option is for scaling. That's actually number 3, and it's this button here. And this is actually for rescaling an object. If you would like to have a slightly larger, slightly smaller object, or actually like a plant or something like that, we will talk about them soon, you can just do that. And also, if you just find that this is not the best, then you just undo that, and you can just go back to the original.
Now, what other tricks do we have to create the environment? What kind of tools can we talk about?
I think let's just add, it's strange to talk about human beings like tools, but now they will be very useful assets for our representation. You just add human figures as well. These are also selectable objects, actually, so you can just translate them the same way.
Oh yes, you can turn this guy around.
Yeah, just turn him around to approach this car and move him closer to the car or something like that. So this is how you can just refine each and every item that you can find here. Now there is an interesting feature, and it's actually for the foliage, all the trees and the surrounding. Now let's just talk about the surrounding first as a piece by piece manner. Now those are trees here. So obviously I would like to add a few trees here. So I will just use this tree and I just place it here. Just click and drag and see this is already tedious. If I have to place like 5 or 6 trees, it's just like click and drag. I can just quickly speed it up by using this continuous placement. And I just select this object and I do not click and drag. I just click where I would like to see another copy, and another copy. So this way, it's actually a very fast tool to just select something and then just actually kind of, just go around and place all these things. Let's just place a nice tiny sakura here, and so on. So this is how you can add those trees or bushes or any other objects that you can find here to your design.
So you can just place them wherever you want.
And this also actually applies for the this garden here. We have a park here, so let me just quickly add a few larger trees. For example, one to this position, another one to this place. There will be a nice smaller tree here. Oh, I think this is.
Hey, it's in the shadows, so.
Yeah. I just.
Yeah, can you just do that again? Can
yeah.
you just How do you get rid of that thing on the top?
First things first, how it happened. I actually clicked on the side of the tree, so it automatically treated it as a surface, so it placed it there. So it was just my mistake. So I can just undo that, or if I'm already over the undo steps, I can just disable this and go back to selection and select it and either translate it to move it to a different position, or I can just simply erase it using the hitting the delete key. So this is how you can fix that. And I'm not satisfied with this one, so I just quickly move it around like to some another place like that place or something like that.
Make sure it's not in the shadows.
So this is how you can easily add all of those items like this few trees.
My question is, this would work fine for larger objects, larger trees, but it might get very tedious and repetitive if you want to add smaller shrubs. Yeah. What kind of tools do you have for creating this kind of shrubbery, smaller plants?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the new thing that I wanted to show you. There is a tool. It's called the Foliage Painter. This here, and this brings up a new tray besides the rest. And here you can find. This is actually giving you a nice what we call a brush. So if you just click and drag, you can see you can actually paint this surface. Yes. You can also undo this and see what sort of options you have here. Now these are the available brushes. Now I'm using grass field, and there is also an eraser. We will talk about that later. There are trees, there are bushes, and there's this small grove. So the difference, all of these is their setup, what they contain. You can actually customize a setup like this. Now a small grove will paint like something like this. Sometimes a few trees, bushes, and a few patches of grass. Now if you don't want to make, I don't know, for example, the bog myrtle appear, let me just undo that so show you the difference. You can just get rid of that, and then when you paint, no bush will appear, only sometimes trees, sometimes other things. Like you just click and drag and move your mouse.
Can you increase the size of the brush?
Yeah, you can increase the size of the brush. So if you would like to paint larger areas, you can just increase that way. You can just click and hold and then just, paint. And you can also change its density, how dense these things will be, but I will just demonstrate with this with another type of object. So I just undo that. So let me just literally work here. So I just set up and use the bushes. Now I use a smaller bush radius because I just would like to paint a row of bushes here,
like a hedge or something.
Like a hedge. So it is actually built up of 2 different type of bushes, but I just would like to enrich that, and I just would like to add another one, and this is in the small plants, and this is this one here. So I can just click and drag another one here, so I can just customize the content. And whenever I have an object like this, I can actually customize its ratio, its randomization. And randomize means it's just rotating these objects to giving a nice random effect. They're not just the same place. So I just click and drag and I just paint with this, and I think I like this. Let's just go with that, and so it's okay. So I'm using all of these. See, these are just changing their position, so this is how I could use it. And the same thing I apply when I use the grass field. Now the grass field, I think I should use a larger radius.
Should it be this
a little
dense?
smaller density. Now density is like this. If you use a small density, it's like that. If you use a larger density, it will literally like fur appearing, like a very, very dense surface. See, like that. I think it will be okay like this. And here, some places, let me just make some sort of mistake. Like, well, I made a mistake here, and I will make a mistake here as well. So what's that? I actually overpainted on the side of the tree and on the side of the pavement. Now, if I close this tool, if I close this Foliage Painter, I will get rid of the painter, so I don't paint anymore. If I come back, I can use it again. So if I would like to get rid of this, I cannot select it. It's not an object. It's a full foliage. Now for foliage, you can use the eraser. This is why it's there, this one. And an eraser also have a radius, so you can just set it up and remove things from the pavement, for example. You obviously will make a few mistakes, not a problem. But if you would like to get rid of these things, you can just do that and then just repaint the surface just as it was before. So you can easily fix the issues. And if you would like to get rid of all of your things, but it's over the undo step, you just make a large eraser and just erase everything that you didn't want to see. Just take care. If you use this feature, it really brings in a lot of details. I mean heavily loading up your scene with I don't know, thousands of grass patches, which is, as you can see, it works fine, and it's very fast. It's even animated, as you can see. If I'm going closer, just take care, because if you use too much, it will be a very, very slow animation of it. It will be like lagging or something like that. So if you would like to use it only on surfaces which are in focus, which are important for the visuals, and leave out the rest.
Meanwhile, we have an interesting question regarding that. Can we add foliage onto walls? I mean, if you can paste something on a vertical surface, then
this is. I used it on this surface. I don't have a slanted terrain actually, but if you use this, for example, I'm just going back here. So I use this grass field. Now this grass field, and very interesting option here for the field grass. It's actually told to follow the surface, so that means it will be applied onto the surface. And there is an option to turn it off. In that case, it will look like this. So why is that? What's the idea behind something to create like this? Just imagine a terrain where most of the grass patches, which are like dishes, that you would like to align them to the surface of the terrain, but you don't want trees growing like this. So the trees won't follow the surface, but the grass will follow the surface. And actually, this is how for example, the small grow is automatically set up. This tree won't follow the surface, but the field grass patch will.
Here's another one. Can we choose a specific object to solely apply foliage to? I think for that it would make more sense to apply it individually one by one, right?
Yeah, the difference between using the foliage and it's a good question. I wanted to talk about that. What's the difference between using individual objects and foliage? The difference is when you would like to specifically tell that one single object should be like this and at this position, then you use them as single individual objects. If you just would like to paint and literally populate the world with these tons of thousands of objects, then you paint. And in that case, if you would like to get rid of any sort of the detail, you just use the eraser.
So I think the project is coming together. It's not as shiny as it could have been with more work, obviously, but this gives you an idea.
But we're very close,
What's the output? So how do we get this into a presentable format? Obviously, you could give this to your clients to walk around, to explore, but the best option would be to have standalone files generated from this model. How do we do that?
Yeah, well, as you can see, we already have those views appearing there, and they are not reflecting the latest changes. They are just as they were when we created this design. And I like this view, so I want to add this view to my list of views. So let's start here. What happens if I would like to add this view? I just click here, and the software automatically adds this view to the list of my views. This is already showing the latest updated view. So if I would like to do that with the front view, which already features Dennis here and the car and a few trees, in that case you can update, you can overexpose on the original image, and then it will be updated.
Sorry,
yeah.
rewriting the file as well, which is in the
yes,
folder?
Yes, these are directly connected to the image, so you don't have to save the images. They are already updating the images on your hard drive, so you just go there and you will find the latest images. This is the one I've created just one before. This is a PNG file, and there is another one, and that was this one, and this is again. So you just go and update all the views that you would like to send and resend to your clients as a new version.
Can we make an alternative between a nighttime scene and daytime scene from the very same perspective? How do you do that quickly?
Well, I think in that case I would add another view. So now I already have an updated view like this, and I add another view. I name it view external, for example, external night, for example. And then I change the sunlight, change something like this here. Let's just change it like that. I think I will go with this one, yeah. And then I go back here and I just update that. So I have this original one, which was the view external daytime, and I have a nighttime view, and that's also reflected in the images.
How do we create the videos, the animations?
Now about the videos, the animations, yes, we didn't talk about that. We already have those animations coming from ARCHLine, so I just set up a daytime, and I go to the animation editor. This is actually, it looks like it's just a player, so you just go around and find the first animation. This is the backyard. It's not detailed yet, so I won't save this one. But I think there is the one that I have created previously. Yeah, well, I need to change the position of the car.
It's floating, but
yeah.
So it's a good thing that you realized that before you saved it.
Yeah. So you can actually just click and scrub this animation path through. So just to find where there are glitches that you need to fix. I need to fix this, for example. Let me just push it back down a little bit more. Like, yeah, it was just saving, so it's just, yeah, like that, it's better. Yeah. So yeah, so now I have this, and by the way, if you would like to get rid of selection, you selected something and you would like to get rid of that, you just use the escape key. That's a simple thing. So now if you have this here, I'm willing to save this or the previous one. So I just select that, find if I like that, and I just would like to use it. I can see the current time position here. I can set up the FPS, and I can change the length. So if I'm not satisfied with the length that I have defined previously, no problem. I can just make it shorter, I can make it longer, I can just change it at any time. And then the end, yeah, well, I think I like this. So if at the end, if I like to save it as a rendered animation, I just click on this, and ARCHLine automatically creates this rendered AVI file. It will be a video file with a relatively small size.
What's a better practice, to have one continuous shot or maybe smaller segments?
Well, yeah, if you would like to have, like for example, you would like to go through the street and then go inside, climb the stairs and go into a room, in that case, I would not really recommend you to create one long path. And actually here, as you can see now, ARCHLine told me that it actually created a version of this video file, and this is the video file already. I can just play it. It's like that.
Neat. Looks
so
good.
I can already send it to my clients.
Yes.
And everything is collected in the same folder where your project is saved. I mean, now when I'm talking about project, it's not the ARCHLine project. ARCHLine.XP Live has its own file format. So when you save your project, it's automatically saved on the documents ARCHLine.XP Live and into the project folder, and that's where you find all the animations, the snapshots, the archives even, and also the project file, obviously. I mean the live file.
Was there anything else you wanted to show us?
No, I think I covered pretty much everything. There is, I think, one more thing that I used to talk about it, and it's how you can engage the world. I mean, literally step into this world, and that's this walk mode. And this walk mode, this actually has a little hint here. This helps a lot to understand what's going on. If you would like to move forward, you use the W. If you, let me just point to the building, it's a bit prettier. So you can just strafe left, right, move forward, backward, and so on. And you can just use the mouse to look around. Now in this case, ARCHLine.XP Live automatically detects wall surfaces as surfaces that you cannot go through, and doors and windows as surfaces that you should be able to go through. So even if the door is closed now, you will be able to point there, go there, and just go through that surface and then go inside. So
Perfect.
this is how
it's very good, because then if you want to define perspectives, you can be sure that it's going to be on eye level because you are there at the moment.
Yes,
so.
yes, and at any time, if you already do not need this help because you are for client presentation and you just don't want to cover the surface with that one, you can just hide it with the H key. That's for hide. You can just bring it back at any time. And if you just would like to get rid of this this thing and you just would like to go back and work on the model, you just hit escape, and then you just start working and continue working with all those things.
Perfect. So basically that's what I wanted to share with you during this presentation of using ARCHLine.XP Live for architectural purposes. We created the environment, and basically we haven't even touched the model itself, only the materials. But the point is to make the model look prettier, look more engaging and more lifelike, and essentially that's what it's going to sell this particular project. I would like to thank you for your attention at today's session. We are going to go now to a 2-week-long break, and after that we'll be back to you with another show which will be about ARCHLine.XP again, discussing the architectural features. We are going to create a multi-installment, several sessions long tutorial about how to use the architectural feature set of
from zero
ARCHLine.XP.
to the end.
From zero to all the way to the end, to the renders. And I think we are going to add some few hints of ARCHLine.XP Live as well, because now the two are sort of merging together. It's very hard to separate the two.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm happy that you had a lot of questions of the new feature. I see that you are also as excited as I am.
Yes, that's good.
With this one. Soon you will be able to download this version. Just head to the download section when you get the email about the new release, and then just go on and try all these things. We are excited to share this with you.
From our side, we would like to thank you for your attention. If you liked what you have seen, give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss a show like that one, and stay tuned for our upcoming webinars on ARCHLine.XP and ARCHLine.XP Live. Thank you very much for your attention. See you next time.
See you. Goodbye.